Friend of Vietnam.
Good.
Very
That's
friend
good.
of
All South Asia is with Vietnam.
Sir, it's
Thank
my,
you.
I'll give you my
Okay. Please proceed.
Please come.
I'm not very card my own.
Please come.
one WhatsApp is good enough to come here.
Please.
Madam. I'll show you there in Mr. Navin's hut side in Ikka. Press club.
Heart, be friendly, and love each other. I request Madam Ambassador to also join in the group so that we could have a photo session to remember later on. I request Madam Ambassador to join the group.
This is the daughter of Vietnam. She doesn't know how to practice. That is the husband, right? Display something in
Thank you everyone, and I would like to request everyone to take their respective seats so that we can carry forward the function. Thank you very much. So it's now the time to welcome all the guests present with us, and to do this honor, I would like to request Kusum Jain to present a welcome address. Yes.
Thank you. He's my friend and brother. Thank you, Mr. Han. Your Excellency, Pham Chau, respected Sri Md.Salim Sir, respected Goutam Da, dear brother Hai, Tridib Da, Amitabh Da, Prem Kapoor, and Consul General of India, Vietnam in Mumbai. He has all the way come from Mumbai for this program, especially for this program. So we welcome you here. A special welcome to you also. And what to say? Here in this August gathering, today, intellectuals, activists, writers, poets, and many literary name, who I can't name everybody because they love Vietnam and our organization so much. Amlesh Da is there, Amitabh Da. So very welcome all distinguished guests here today. Very, very warm good morning to all of you. So for us, this is very sorry time. For us, imagining a program without our mentor Hitesh Sharma ji is very hard and painful. It is big vacuum and a boy. He was the one who motivated, guided, and inspired us to read about Ho Chi Minh and Vietnam. Our heartfelt salute to him and his untiring spirit. On behalf of Indo Vietnam Solidarity Committee, we from the bottom of our hearts welcome His Excellency and other officials of the embassy for kindly visiting Kolkata and inaugurating our seminar on Ho Chi Minh and India, making this seminar a very, very special, important and meaningful. Almost 2000 years ago, there was a meeting of minds, a beating together of hearts, a spiritual union which bound the people of India, Vietnam, and other neighboring countries, which continues to flourish with time even today. In modern times, this friendship is being nurtured and promoted by both the governments of India and Vietnam, and marching towards stronger ties through many strategic commitments and people's diplomacy. President Ho formulated the concept of people's diplomacy and created a people-centric diplomatic front. We, with great pride, say that Indo-Vietnam Solidarity Committee, since its inception during the Liberation War of Vietnam, played a very vital role through people-to-people relations. People-to-people relations are no less important than economic and defense funds. So, Your Excellency, this is great moment and historical moment for us. There are 2-3 things which I want to mention here in Calcutta. People are so energetic and so much interested in Vietnam. So if there is a Ho Chi Minh chair in any university or a language in any university, here most of the people, students especially, they will join and learn Vietnamese language, so that because nowadays business from Vietnam and India growing faster, and we need the translator who can speak Vietnamese and English both. So this is very important point. I would like to mention for you to please go with convey this to the higher authorities in Vietnam. And one more important thing which I would like to very importantly make your attention on that in Calcutta, because Calcutta is a city, once upon a time it was called Vietnam during the Liberation War, and 3-4 people have given their life for Vietnam during the Liberation in 1947. So, and Ho Chi Minh met that, one of the left wall, and especially went to his home. So Calcutta is a place where people has given the name of the Ellington Street, where the Ho Chi Minh, where the American consulate is there. People of Calcutta has given the name to that Ellington Street to Ho Chi Minh suddenly. This is the Calcutta. So we very much like that there should be a trade and consul office, cultural center in Calcutta, but run by only Vietnamese people. Only Vietnamese people. No, original, not by any honorary person. That is our golden request to you, sir. So I will not take much of your time, sir, and I will conclude. Yes. And you know, I conclude with the words used by President Ho Chi Minh during his state visit to India. During his state visit to India in 1958, when he was giving farewell from Calcutta, because he flight from Calcutta to Rangoon. Yes. So that time when he was giving goodbye to our Calcuttan friends, he departing from Calcutta, Rangoon, he told, long live the unshakable friendship between India and Vietnam. And we continue this spirit, and we all need your support, cooperation in making this friendship more and more stronger and like that. So thank you. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kusum Jain. And now it's the honor to present a bouquet to all the guests present with us. And I would like to request the little girl Prerna to help with us and to provide the bouquets. To do the first honor, I would like to request Kusum Jain to do this honor and offer the bouquet to the Ambassador of Vietnam and India, Mr. Pham San Chau. Thank you. And to do the next honor, I would like to request Mr. Prem Kapoor to present the bouquet to Md.Salim, Secretary of CPIM West Bengal State Committee. Thank you very much. And next we have the queue to felicitate Mr. Goutam, former Regional Director, ICCR Kolkata. And to do this honor, I would like to request Aarti Singh. Aarti ji, are you there? Yes, I request Aarti Singh to felicitate Mr. Goutam. Oh, he has been felicitated. Thank you very much. That's a big honor. Thank you. Next, to do this honor, I would like to request Arvind Kori and to present the bouquet to Dr. Do Than Hai. Okay, I now like to request Aarti to present the bouquet to Mr. Do Than Hai. That's a beautiful scene. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to request Arvind to do this honor, next honor, and he would like to present the bouquet to Professor Tridib Chakraborti. So we have a name, an eminent person present with us, Mr. Hoang Tung, and okay, so we have the special guest, Mr. Hoang Tung, Consul General of Vietnam in Mumbai and India. I would like to request Arvind to present the bouquet to him. Arvind, a very dedicated young member of our committee, and he is presenting the bouquet to Mr. Hoang Tung. And he directly came here from Mumbai, and I really appreciate his kind gesture of being with us here. Thank you very much. And I would like to request Paridhi Dubey, is she with us? Paridhi, to do this honor and to present the bouquet to Dr. Tilottama Mukherjee, Assistant Professor, Shyamaprasad Mukherjee College. She is going to present the keynote address today. And I'd like to request Paridhi to present the bouquet to Professor Tilottama. Beautiful. Next, I would like to request Raj Mitholia, Mr. Raj Mitholia, to present the bouquet to Mr. Amitabh Chakraborti. He is a poet and activist. I request Raj Mitholia ji to present the bouquet to Mr. Amitabh Chakraborti. He is a poet and a social and cultural activist. We have already did this honor. Thank you very much for... Yes, everyone has been honored. And thank you very much for this concern, for reminding me whether I forgot or not. Thank you, everyone. And here is the time to release the book, Confluence of Literature, India and Vietnam. And I request Parna to bring, okay. I request everyone to release the book. The book is, the name is Confluence of Literature, India and Vietnam. This was the last dream project of Gitesh Sharma. He in fact edited, before the sad demise, he in fact edited the book. And this is posthumously published, and this is a dream project. He worked tirelessly. This is Confluence of Literature. We have in one side Vietnamese literature, and in one side Indian literature, that's in English. And all those editors, Kusum Jain and Prem Kapoor, they have worked tirelessly to do the translation and to make this book a successful one, and to make it reach to the people. I hope Giteshi, if he could be there, he would be very happy that we also tried our best to make this book available. Yes, this is, of course, this is first of his kind. This was his last dream project. And thank you, everyone. Now it's time to listen to the eminent figure present with us, inaugural address by Honorable Ambassador, Mr. Pham Chau. I request him to address this gathering.
A very, very warm and good morning to all brothers and sisters of Vietnam here in Kolkata. Dear Ms. Kumar Jain, Chairwoman of Indo Vietnam Solidarity Committee, dear Md.Salim, former Minister, former MP, Secretary of CPM State Committee of West Bengal, dear Mr. Goutam, former Director of ICCR, all dear old friends and members of the India Vietnam Solidarity Committee, dear old friends who are present at this seminar today. I am very, very moved and touched to see so many familiar faces which are so lovable, which are so close to the Vietnamese people present at this important seminar. Let me, on behalf of my government, my people, express a very sincere thanks to each and every one of you who spare your precious time of a Saturday morning to be here with us. Weekend normally is used for family get together, for friends to get together, and you abandon that habit in order to come here and to join us, to join the committee, to celebrate one important event of Vietnam. So we all become one family. Thank you very much. Because this is all together, we are one family. Dear member of this big family of Vietnam, this week we started a whole week of celebration leading towards the birth anniversary of our late President Ho Chi Minh that we all know. On the 19th, we are going to celebrate his birthday. And across the world, we have different places, we start different celebrations. And the fact that we have chosen Kolkata, we have chosen India, we have chosen Kolkata, and we have chosen this venue, the National Library, which is the guardian of wisdom of the world, to celebrate this event is so meaningful. And the fact that the Embassy of Vietnam teamed up with the Indo Vietnam Solidarity Committee, which is one of the oldest solidarity of Vietnam across the world, to mark the event is also very, very meaningful. And you just saw for the first time what we call the premiere of the clip about India and Ho Chi Minh. That is the clip. I'm sorry I was not being able to be with you because I was with the management of the library. But that is also the first time. So you see that, and we come here with a big delegation coming from not only from the embassy in New Delhi, from our consul general in Mumbai, but also we also have people coming from Ho Chi Minh City. We also have the in-laws of Vietnam. We have the friends of Vietnam. We have also the special friend from Cuba, the Deputy Ambassador of Cuba. He come all the way here to attend this event. You see that, and especially I'm moved to sit next to our very, very dear friend. Because thanks to this government, which was in 1977 to until 2011, that the booth of Ho Chi Minh was installed. Yes, without that government, we cannot install the booth. Yes, Jyoti Bhuso was there. So this is a moment that all the forces get together to think and to discuss of a person who has a very strong passion, feelings to the people and the country of India. President Ho Chi Minh visited India 3 times. He doesn't have many countries where he visits so many times. And interestingly, when it comes to India, you see on the film, he is very humble. And I believe that one of the biggest similarities between leaders of India and President of Ho Chi Minh lies in the fact that they are very, very humble people. The way they dress, the way they talk to the people, they are not far away from the people. So they are very close. We have the feeling that they are part of your family. That is one of the values that I think that unite our 2 nations. And this is also one of the things that we need to learn from him more and more. Sometimes my background is Europe. I was 2-time ambassador in France and Belgium. And I studied all my way in the Netherlands and in Switzerland, in Norway. And when I come to India, I think that perhaps, I'm sorry, because I put this because of the official photo this morning. Otherwise, I will put a more humble tenure. I will put Nehru waist jacket, which I normally do. Yes, so I think that's gradually this is also make us, because this, when I wear this, I think I'm a little bit far from my 2 neighbors here, brothers here. So this also what we learn. And I also very, very, very touched to see that one of the characteristics of the relationship between India and Vietnam is, number 1, not economic relationship first. It is not defense relation first, like Vietnam and former Soviet Union, no. It's not investors and buyers like Vietnam and some Northeast countries now. The first, when you talk about that relationship, is the people to people. It's the heart from one heart to the other. And that people to people exchange and heart to heart diplomacy dated back more than 2,600 years. How you know? Because 2,600 years ago, our merchants start doing business with each other. And thanks to that merchant, thanks to that exchange commercially, for the first time, Buddhism start spreading from India to Vietnam. And it's become now, we become now part of what we call Buddhist civilization. And I know that at the moment, India relies a lot on its soft power. And what is the component of soft power of India? Number 1 is Buddhism. Number 2 is yoga. Number 3 is Ayurveda, all the traditional medicines. Number 4 is Indian diaspora. And what you see, and number 5 is Indian influence, culture, as put it here. It's the influence of culture of India. And if you look at Vietnam, you see the presence of all these elements. You see there Buddhism, which is almost like a national religion. You see yoga, people practice every day. You see traditional medicine. You see restaurant of India across Vietnam. You see Linga restoration project in Vietnam. So all these bound us together. And that is the reason I want to stress that the biggest strength of the relations between India and Vietnam lies in the diversity, light in the richness between our two people, between the heart that come from the one heart to the another heart. So that is not our treasury, not only our treasury, it is our access so that we can build a more prosperous future. As the second characteristic of the relations between India and Vietnam is the closeness between President Ho Chi Minh and the first leaders of India, namely Mahatma Gandhi, although he has never met Mahatma Gandhi, but they corresponded. And secondly, Jawaharlal Nehru. I found out a very interesting resolution which was adopted by UNESCO in 1987. In that resolution, they honor Vietnam President Ho Chi Minh. And in that resolution, in the same page, they honor Jawaharlal Nehru. And few people know about that fact. Yes, this is the same resolution. And Jawaharlal Nehru is just only 1 year older than President Ho Chi Minh. And they passed 3 years before the demise of President Ho Chi Minh. So it means that, and he's the first dignitary who visited Vietnam when the northern part of Vietnam was liberated in October 1954. So all this, I think here you believe in karma, right? So our two nations have a predestined, history. Yes. So I don't want to dominate the seminar because I want to respect the intervention of many famous and notorious speakers. I want to stop here. I want to say that I want to thank the people, the government, the past and current government of West Bengal for allowing this workshop to be here. I thank each and every of you for coming up to warm up the relationship between India and Vietnam. I'm particularly touched to see in every faces present here not only the wisdom of an aged person, but also the smile of a young generation. And this morning I also saw the cheer of all the small children. So you see that 3 generations in one together devoted to this beautiful relationship between Vietnam and India. I want to say that I believe nowhere in this world can beat the people and the land of West Bengal for the love that there is for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. That was indeed a heart-touching address. It's now time to listen to the keynote address that's going to be presented by Dr. Tilottama Mukherjee, Assistant Professor and Head of Political Science Department, Shyamaprasad Mukherjee College. Dr. Tilottama.
Thank you, Prabha. A very good morning to the August gathering here, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the establishment of Vietnam-India diplomatic relations and the 132nd birth anniversary of President Ho Chi Minh. I thank profusely the Embassy of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam in India and the Indo Vietnam Solidarity Committee Kolkata for bestowing upon me the honor to deliver the keynote address today. We hereby begin the deliberations of the day by dedicating it in loving memory of late Sri Gitesh Sharma ji, our mentor and strengths behind everything we do. Ho Chi Minh visited India 3 times, first in 1911, then in 1946 while he was going to France for peace dialogues, and then finally in 1958 as an official visit as the President of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. Prime Minister Nehru welcomed him as a great revolutionary leader. He further remarked that we have met a person who is part of Asian history. We meet such a great man and we meet a period of history. Therefore, we not only enrich our thoughts, but also feel more honored. Meeting President Ho is such an experience. However brief, a mention must also be made of the fact that India was the chairman of the International Commission for Supervision and Control, which was formed pursuant to the Geneva Accords to facilitate the peace process in Vietnam after the First Indochina War. A new nation, that was India, supported Vietnam's independence from France, viewing it as being similar to India's own struggle against British imperialism. The then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, embarked on a tour of China and Indochina in 1954, during which he visited North and South Vietnam. He was one of the first visitors to North Vietnam after its first victory against the French at Dien Bien Phu. Nehru sent a detailed report describing his tour to Burmese Prime Minister U Nu on 16 November 1954. He wrote, "The person who impressed me most was Dr. Ho Chi Minh of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, who came to see me at Hanoi. Hanoi had passed into his hands just 5 days previous to my arrival. This was a peaceful and very disciplined transfer from the French to Viet Minh. Dr. Ho Chi Minh impressed me as an unusually frank, straightforward, and likable person. Although he was engaged in a war for 7 years against the French, he was the very reverse of a warlike person. He struck me as a man of peace and goodwill. He didn't say a word against the French to me. It was evident that Viet Minh was well organized and disciplined." At that time, despite the fact that India was the chairman of the International Commission of Control and Supervision, which demanded strict impartiality in dealing with North and South Vietnam for implementing the peace process, India seemed ideologically clearly tilted in favor of Viet Minh and President Ho Chi Minh. India established consular relations with North Vietnam in as early as 1956. The charisma of President Ho Chi Minh was such that he was accepted and loved and respected as one of our own, and the cause of Vietnamese people and their struggles were ours. This is why when President Ho Chi Minh visited India in February 1958 to further bolster their bilateral ties to enhance the solidarity among countries in Asia and Africa for the purpose of defending world peace, Mrs. Rameshwari Nehru, the chairman of the President Ho Chi Minh Reception Committee, remarked, "You are loved and respected by us, sir, the citizens of India, as much as by your own people." Such was the influence of President Ho Chi Minh on Indians that demonstrations in favor of Vietnam and even accessories such as sandals and shirts would bear the pictures of President Ho Chi Minh. Such was his popularity here, with no other similar instance that can be cited when compared with any other leader of the world at any point of time in global history. President Ho Chi Minh's and Vietnam's conviviality with India intensified even further when Mrs. Indira Gandhi came to power. During her visit to Soviet Union in July 1966, she became extremely vocal about US bombing in Vietnam. Few years later, after the heroic victory of Bangladesh Liberation War, Mrs. Gandhi visited Moscow in 1971. There she pledged India's support and commitment to fight for the inalienable rights of all peoples, especially those of Vietnamese people, for national independence and freedom. On 26 April 1972, Mr. Swaran Singh declared in Lok Sabha that the liberation of Bangladesh was a great heroic event. The liberation of Vietnam will be an equally heroic and great event. India wholeheartedly welcomed the Paris Peace Accord, which was signed on 27 January 1973 for the purpose of reunification of the two Vietnams, North and South. With the defeat of West in Saigon and the completion of reunification of Vietnam in January 1976 and the creation of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, Mrs. Gandhi retorted in these words, that the West had not been able to assess the power of nationalism, even were forced to yield to it. Therefore, President Ho Chi Minh and Vietnam was very close to India, and the leadership didn't hesitate even to invite the wrath of the US at a time when the Cold War was at its peak, for the sake of expressing a rare solidarity as two Asian countries sharing very old civilizational linkages and ideological affinities. Though both Chacha Nehru and Uncle Ho passed away in 1960s, the foundation on which they had established Indo-Vietnam relations was laden with honest fraternal feelings and a strong commitment for future joint endeavors to bring in peace and prosperity for its peoples. Vietnam supports India's plea for permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. Vietnam understood that in 1998, when India had to go the nuclear way, there were obviously good reasons for it. And at a time when the world put sanctions on India, Vietnam stood by India. Vietnam understands India's border dispute with China, as Vietnam itself was a victim of Chinese aggressiveness and unfounded claims on its own borders. On matters of terrorism too, Vietnam unequivocally supports India's zero-tolerance policy at a time when India is surrounded by neighbors who are known to harbor terrorists on their soil to sabotage India's peace and growth story. As we all know, that China was vetoing time and again India's bid at the United Nations to list Pak-based Maulana Masood Azhar, chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed, as a global terrorist. From openly condemning the Mumbai attacks to extending cooperation working in anti-terrorism initiatives, Vietnam has been a steadfast partner of India in this regard too. India and Vietnam share similar apprehensions and ramifications of being lower riparian countries of Brahmaputra and Mekong respectively, and have voiced concerns globally about China's rampant dam building activities in the upper streams. India is involved in the exploration activities in the South China Sea at the behest of good friend Vietnam, much to the chagrin of the PRC, and both India and Vietnam support free and open Indo-Pacific with freedom of navigation and overflight during the East Sea and Asia-Pacific debate and turning it into a stable, cooperate and developed region. Vietnam understands India's apprehensions about China's Belt and Road Initiative and its reservations about an opposition to the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is an integral part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Furthermore, the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or the Quad, comprising US, Japan and Australia and India, which is playing an instrumental role of cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region, is actively supported by Vietnam to the extent of being called a shadow member at times. Vietnam supports India's Project Mawsum and Vision Sagar, which envisage to deepen connectivity of India with other littorals in the Indian Ocean region, and are pet projects of the present government. Vietnam has participated in the Milan naval exercises in 2010 and 2018 in the Indian Ocean. In May 2018, India and Vietnam conducted their first ever joint naval exercise. During the period 2016 to 2021, there have been 7 high-level visits between Vietnam and India. This is the highest number of visits by Vietnam with any other country in the world during this period. In 2016, Vietnam's relations with India were elevated to the level of comprehensive strategic partnership from strategic partnership. For the first time in the history of India-Vietnam relations, a Vietnamese ship participated in the International Fleet Review at Visakhapatnam in February 2016. In that year, both Vietnam and India wholeheartedly welcomed a tribunal ruling of the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which rejected China's 9-line historical claims in the South China Sea. In 2017, India and Vietnam celebrated the Year of Friendship to mark the 45th anniversary of the establishment of their diplomatic relations. In 2018, Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc visited India, and their Delhi Declaration committed them to work closely together in common regional and international security issues of mutual concern and ensure an open, transparent, inclusive and rules-based regional architecture through ASEAN-led frameworks like ADM plus ARF, EAS, PMC plus 1, etc. President Tran Dai Quang visited India in March 2018 and especially urged Indian companies to avail of the opportunities in the continental shelf, exclusive economic zones, midstream and downstream sectors, renewable energy and energy conservation projects in Vietnam. In August 2018, the 3rd Indian Ocean Conference was held in Hanoi, and the then External Affairs Minister of India, late Srimati Sushma Swaraj, attended the conference and stated that we intend to accelerate the establishment of direct shipping routes between the seaports of India and Vietnam. We agreed on the importance of the early conclusion of an ASEAN-India Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement. India and Vietnam are connected not only by common waters that wash our shores, but also by a shared vision for peace and prosperity. After assuming office as the President of India, Sri Ramnath Kovind chose Vietnam for his first official visit to any Southeast Asian country in 2018. In 2019, Vietnam published a defense white paper giving out a strong message without naming any country about the activities in the East Sea. India supported such a stance by Vietnam as she herself believed that China had a major role to play behind Nepal publishing a new map in 2020 claiming parts of Uttarakhand in India as their territories. The new emerging areas of cooperation between India and Vietnam are science and technology, human resource development, cooperation between Indian Space Research Organization and Vietnam's National Remote Sensing Department, nuclear cooperation, shared vision in line with India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, and the ASEAN's outlook on Indo-Pacific to achieve shared security, prosperity, and growth. In December 2020, the Indian Navy took part in the passage exercise with the Vietnamese Navy in the South China Sea, a very bold gesture indeed. India's economic relations with Vietnam at the present state needs immediate focus. In April to January 2021-22 period, India's total trade with Vietnam was $11,331.15 million, and the balance of trade was negative for India to the tune of $191.29 million. This is the first time in modern recorded history that India is facing a negative balance of trade with Vietnam. According to the United Nations Development Programme, Vietnam has created a legendary story in poverty reduction with the Human Development Index of 0.63 in 2019, ranking it 118th out of 189 highest HID growth countries in the world. According to United Nations Sustainable Development Report 2020, Vietnam is the only Southeast Asian country to achieve UN action targets and recorded a positive economic growth even during the peak of COVID. To conclude, I would like to say that the past of India-Vietnam relations was determined by people-to-people contact, solidarity, similar views on world issues, and the future of India-Vietnam relations will also be singularly determined by people-to-people contacts. India is well aware of it and therefore offers Vietnamese a host of scholarships such as under Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program, Civilian and Technical Cooperation Scheme of Colombo Plan, ICCR scholarships, education exchange programs, cultural exchange programs, Mekong Congo Cooperation Scheme, scholarships for Buddhist and Sanskrit studies, etc. During COVID, Indian Navy ship delivered oxygen and oxygen concentrators for Vietnamese people. Such solidarity, fraternal ties, along with deepening of their economic relations and ensuring timely implementation of the grants in aid and lines of credit that have been announced in various sectors, hold the key to a future of prosperous Indo-Vietnam relations. Thank you.
लिख लिया ठीक है शॉर्ट करके खास खास निकाल के तरीका ही होता है अब लिखिए लंबा
Thank you very much, Professor Tilottama, for refreshing our memory from our traditional relations to the recent developments that we achieved in the COVID times. Thank you very much for refreshing our relationship. Yes, that's her subject. She's a research scholar, and she had done her PhD on Indo-Vietnam and China relationship. And that's how we are expecting this expertise from her. Thank you very much. And now it's time to listen to our guest speaker present with us, Professor Tridib Chakraborti. He is a professor of Emeritus in Adamas University, and I request Professor Tridib Chakraborti to address the gathering.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much for giving me a chance to this August gathering, and I'm really honored. And I should not concentrate on India-Vietnam relation. I have to concentrate on some other parts of Ho Chi Minh, because Ho Chi Minh is my political ideology. I believe that Ho Chi Minh lifestyle is attracted me, his simple life, which attracted me, which is very similar to Mahatma Gandhi. So that is the reason that I'm a follower of Ho Chi Minh. Now, Ho Chi Minh, and there are a number of fake names. Actually, the Vanwa, Naguang Tan, Naguang Alikuak land, Lu Thun Tri, Duang Naguang Lai, Nam Song. These are the names. When Ho Chi Minh was in Kuomintang, he went to Kuomintang. He was a direct disciple of M.N. Roy. He was the most successful leader of the Vietnamese independence struggle. And he fought against the French, American, and the puppet Saigon government. And one of the greatest revolutionary figure of the centuries, not of 20th century, it's for centuries. Now, President Ho Chi Minh was not only an initiator, but also the shining exemplary model in the practice of patriotic stimulation. That has strongly encouraged the people to emulate in all aspects of social life, creating great strength to the whole party, people and army to overcome difficulties and hardship and lead our revolution to the victory. So that was the Ho Chi Minh. Now, he was a follower of Bolshevik revolution next to Lenin, and he was enormously a pragmatic communist, a doer rather than a theoretician. He wrote in 1959, which was published in 1959 in the selected collected works of Ho Chi Minh, and which was published by Nandan in 1960, where he wholeheartedly expressed his mental affiliation of Lenin and the Third Communist International. Ho Chi Minh never defamed by anyone. Like the Stalin was condemned, the Mao Zedong was condemned, but Ho Chi Minh was never condemned. And Ho Chi Minh, if you visit Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, you will find in every institution, every building, there is a Ho Chi Minh is there. Ho Chi Minh is standing and he is controlling from there. That look, don't say anything, I am here. So that was the Ho Chi Minh actually. He was a conscious environmentalist, which I consider because in his will he wrote, I'm putting the line, not only in cremation good from the point of view of hygiene, but it also saves farmland. When I'm gone, the grand funeral should be avoided in order not to waste the people's time and money. This is the mindset of the Ho Chi Minh. Yes. That is the thing. He is the number one environmentalist. Now coming to India, since Tilottama have said a lot of things, I should not elaborate since time is there's a paucity of time. He visited thrice, and what India did, I can consider, because I have done my PhD on Vietnam. The point is that when the USA withdraw, before they withdraw, they have destroyed the fertility of the soil. And Indira Gandhi sent Swaminathan how to recultivate the land. And I am mentioning this point because in 1978, India had supplied wheat to Vietnam. And in 1988 or 89, if I'm not wrong, Vietnam is supplying rice. That is Vietnam. That is the unity, that is the strength of the entire Vietnam. Now, point is that there is no such interaction with Gandhi. Ho Chi Minh doesn't have any interaction with Gandhi, but we have a lot of interaction with Nehru. But I can mention one important point. Ho Chi Minh at one point of time, someone asked in 1958 when he visited India, someone said, would you kindly say something about Gandhi? Ho Chi Minh immediately reacted and he said, Gandhi is my guru. Gandhi is my political guru. Because these things are available in the archive. Nowadays nobody is interested to go in archive to read Ho Chi Minh lot of works. These are the things that are going on. And I can mention another occasion that in 1948, after the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, being an admirer of the great leader, Ho Chi Minh described the death of Gandhi is not only a national disaster, but an international tragedy. And in his tribute message, he said, I and others may be revolutionaries, but we are disciples of Mahatma Gandhi, directly or indirectly, nothing more, nothing less. Here I am mentioning because one book had came out from Vietnam, I think Kushal know it very well, that there I have written one article on Gandhi and Ho Chi Minh, because their line is thinking, but there is a convergence. That convergence, well, the convergence lies. Line of thinking, but there is a convergence of Ho Chi Minh and Gandhi's viewpoint. Now, Ho Chi Minh actually is a household name. I will take 2 or 3 minutes. Ho Chi Minh is a household name. Amar Nam, Tomar Nam, Vietnam, Vietnam. This is the slogan you will find. I have visited Vietnam many times. I have seen whenever I am meeting in Vietnam, any common people walking in the street, you are from which country? India. Oh, India. We are very proud of India. Even if when the Vietnam delegation came to my university, my previous university in Jadavpur, someone went to market, wanted to buy some mangoes. So they said, he's from Bondo, you are from Friendo. Vietnam, Mera Naam, Tera Naam, Vietnam, Vietnam. This is the feeling. This is the feeling of the both the countries actually. This is actually, we have chanted. Now Ho Chi Minh actually have a lot of interaction with Jawaharlal Nehru. That was the thing. I will take 2 or 3 minutes. So I should not cite the poetry that was, I am struggling, you are active, you are in jail, I am in prison. He is writing actually. From in 1943 it was written actually. Now here I have to mention 2 important things. I think you know personally, all of you know, M.N. Roy, the Narendranath Bhattacharya, actually he was an art communist. But he wrote a book, Men I Met. This is a rare book. There he described number of personalities he met at the Comintern time. And there he have written something on Ho Chi Minh. That is a very unique thing. Like he have written something on Gandhi. So M.N. Roy, I am citing one line from that Men I Met. An uncompromising revolutionary acting in the field of commander on orders of the General Staff of the International Army of the Communist World Revolution. And he further wrote, it has been said that strategically Indochina is the way of Southeast Asia. Ho Chi Minh certainly holds the key to it. He is a man of destiny, but it is the destiny not only of Southeast Asia, but maybe of other Asiatic peoples also. This is the M.N. Roy. He was a critic because in the latter years he changed. He was a very critic of communism and he formed the radical humanism. But he said something on Ho Chi Minh because he was a teacher of Ho Chi Minh in the Comintern days. Now, there are a number of other scholars. They have mentioned Ho Chi Minh, like Jean Leconte. In 1969, he described Ho Chi Minh more of a nationalist than a communist because in our subject there was a debate going on whether the Vietnam is a nationalist movement or a communist movement. It is essentially a nationalist movement under the leadership of communists. He was essentially a communist, but he mobilized the Indian masses, the Vietnamese masses against the uprising, against the colonial power. William Duiker, I met him in Moscow before the fall of Moscow. He wrote a book, Ho Chi Minh Our Life, which was published in 2000. There he said the Ho Chi Minh is half Lenin and half Gandhi. Now, coming to other point, there were a number of attempts were made by the Western media to condemn Ho Chi Minh. Number of books. There is a book written by Sophie Quinn in Judge. The name of the book is Ho Chi Minh, The Missing Years, 1919 to 1939. Fortunately, I have reviewed that book which was published from Singapore. I have vehemently condemned because he tried to prove through this archival document that Ho Chi Minh was not the real leader. So there I have mentioned that all archival documents are not always authentic. I have condemned that one. So that book was published and which is available in the internet. So let me, since the time there is a paucity of time, I can say that India is a real friend of Vietnam. Real friend. Real friend I can say because when Vietnam applied for membership, UN, which country objected? USA. India have played a very important role. There US have placed the issue of Korea. The Korea should be a member, South Korea, South Korea. India have pleaded for that. India have played an important role for when Vietnam actually inherited a war-shuttered economy. India played a very important role for the national reconstruction of Vietnam. And that's why I consider it's a model of South-South cooperation. So let me to conclude, because I should not take too much time. We would like to conclude with a question. Was Ho a nationalist? First, communist. Second, a nationalist dressed in red, or a communist dressed in white. Vietnam is serving uniquely the interest of the Vietnam and the Vietnamese people, or a Comintern clique always placing the interest of the international communist movement and the cause of the world revolution first. Actually, Ho Chi Minh was Ho Chi Minh. No one can compare Ho Chi Minh with any important leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chakraborti. There was indeed some piece of new information, I think, that would have appeased the audience present here. Thank you. And now it's time to listen our guest speaker, Mr. Goutam De. He's the former director of ICCR Kolkata, and I request Goutam Da to address the gathering.
His Excellency Mr. Sanh Chau, Ambassador of Republic of Vietnam, Mr. Md.Salim, a veteran communist leader. I should not confine his name, only saying that he is State Secretary of CPIM. Very seasoned politicians, my dear friends, Kushumji, respected Premji, Amitabhji, Prof, Amalishda, Zarina, so many known faces are here. I think I want to say a lot of things because the research made by my friend Tilottama has given a comprehensive account of Ho Chi Minh, and Professor Chakraborti, who specialized on Ho Chi Minh, I have nothing to say, frankly, because it will be repetitive and wasting of time. The thing is that before I start my small speech, we're all here only because of Gitesh Sharmaji, because he is the man who really laid the foundation of the unique relation between these two countries, as from Delhi. And one thing, though it is very not liked by my communist leader, he told me that we should have followed the path of Ho Chi Minh rather than Lenin and Marx. That is the way he talked to me, because he thought himself as a Ho Chi Minh, not only his figure, features, and what he preached and also practiced in his life. That is very much important. Though it is a debatable question whether we should follow the path of Ho Chi Minh or not, because many people he compromised with the Americans because he has a forgetting attitude. He had no hatred against the French government, despite so much violence and arson and mayhem that took place at the time. The one thing is very certain, that the relationship between India and Vietnam is extremely solid, cordial, and reciprocal. This is the most important thing. And William Druge had said that he was half Lenin, half Gandhi. It's very unique, I think, description he said about Ho Chi Minh, because Lenin was a revolution leader and Mahatma Gandhi adopted non-violence. But what is more important, that what attracted Ho Chi Minh, the simplicity and morality of Mahatma Gandhi. That is the key to any kind of human being. You have the simplicity and you have the morality and principle, you can overcome and solve any problem. You have the determination, you have the simplicity, you have the morality, which is very much lacking in India also among the politicians. So therefore, I believe that Ho Chi Minh is still very much relevant. And I don't want to quote all these things because he has told so many things about Jawaharlal Nehru and what he told about Ho Chi Minh. The only thing I want to quote about the Amrita Pritam poem, The Monk King, I think. Because honestly, I should not do the same thing, saying that what Jawaharlal Nehru said about these things and waste of time. Because Amrita was very much influenced by his simplicity, his honesty, and his complete dedication. That I will a monk king. Who is this king? Who is this saint? The one has removed the throne from his life side. From the land of Vietnam, today a wind has come to ask who dried the tears from the eyes of my history. There was but a bit of night left when something, a dream, came to land in the fields of the sky. Someone who showed the sun on the stem of autumn. Today, the flowers have taken their rose slaps. What words are these that humanity's love have written? So that is that Amrita Pritam has a great, profound respect for Ho Chi Minh. I don't want to elaborate my talk unnecessarily because the same thing will happen than this thing. And one thing is certain, the people of Calcutta have a special regard for Ho Chi Minh and the people of Vietnam. Tumar Nam, Amar Nam, Vietnam is still reverberates and echoes in the streets of Calcutta. So, sir, we are all here with you. And if you specially allocate one scholarship, particularly from Bengal, for study of the philosophy and principle of Ho Chi Minh in any of the reputed university in your country, that will be a great thing. I think that is very much important, and it will also strengthen the relation between the two countries, particularly with reference to Bengal. And that's very much important. With this word, I conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Goutam da. He speaks less, but these are not words, these are emotions. He just plays with emotion, and that touches the heart. Thank you very much for this, for binding this is most pure. Yes, that is his signature style. He never speaks more. He just he just know how to bind the attention of the people. He speaks less, but catches the attention of everyone. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request Mr. Amitabh Chakraborti to address the gathering. He's a poet and a cultural and social activist.
Dear all my honored guests, my previous speakers have already spoken elaborately on the subject. Today we are commemorating the birth anniversary of Comrade Ho Chi Minh, who was lovingly called across the world Uncle Ho. He was such a politician. Practically, he was a saint politician, uncomparable, unparalleled among the world statesmen. In our adolescent youth time, we have gone through his biography, and it was the peak moment of the reunification struggle of two parts of Vietnam. We all know that in one part, north of Vietnam, it was under President Ho Chi Minh's rule. He was the supreme of that part. And the other part, south, it was ruled by first it was French-backed rule, and thereafter US-backed rule. And his task was very tough, to rule one country and to start the process to reunite the country fighting the enemy forces. So, in both sides, he performed competently. It was recorded in history. His life, which I already told earlier, that as president, as the head of the state, he was very much firm, rock-like firmness we have seen in his administration to fight out the enemy, to chalk out the war strategy when he had a competent general, Giap, world famous general, who drove away the mighty French imperialists in the tough war of Dien Bien Phu. But Ho Chi Minh was also a war strategist. So, in the height of wars, the brutality of American soldiers, we all know. The worst sufferer was the Vietnamese common people, and the wrath of Vietnamese people against the Americans was very much justified. But President Ho Chi Minh, his human-like attitude towards even enemy, he ordered, he instructed the prison officials to treat the Americans who were already captured humanly, most humanly. Not only giving instruction, orders as a head of the state, he remained idle. He himself visited the prisons frequently and not depending on the prison officials for implementing his order to treat the enemy soldiers most humanely. He even asked the prisoners personally how they were being treated. It was the treatment of Comrade Ho Chi Minh. On the one side, he was firm like rock as a statesman, dealing with the enemies. On the other hand, most humanly with the enemy soldiers. This is the rare quality, rarest quality. So, I will not talk in details. Everybody knows, especially of our generations what happened in Vietnam and what was our role at that point of time, particularly in Kolkata. It was agog among the whole cities of our country, mainly led by the left forces, mainly in Kolkata and West Bengal. Also, there are democratic forces supported this movement, no doubt. But the leading part taken by the left forces, they have dominated the scenario with the slogan, Hamar Naam, Tomar Naam, Vietnam, Vietnam. So, concluding my speech, I will only tell that a long 47 years have already passed after the reunification. So it should be our duty to take pledge in the coming days to make awareness to the coming generations so that our golden past can be preserved in the coming days. With this, thank you all.
Thank you very much, Goutam da. Amitabh da. I'm extremely sorry. Thank you very much, Amitabh da. And now it's time to listen to the presidential address from the president who was presiding over the meeting, Md.Salim. And I would like to say that he's with us in our most shaking period that we are facing after the sad demise of Giteshi. He's playing a kind of father figure, standing with us, helping with us morally. And I appreciate that I could visualize Giteji sitting at the middle of the session with the same kind of kurta. So thank you very much for filling the gap. I somehow visualize his figure behind the kurta that you are in. Thank you very much. And it's time to listen Md.Salim.
Thank you, Dr. Pravami Samtre. And when she took this responsibility to conduct this discussion, it's less burdensome for the president or the chair. I'm so grateful to you. And comparing me with a personality like Gitesh is humbling me. But I think all of us, we also pay tribute to the organizer, friend of Vietnam, our mentors, and a rock solid secularist, democrat, socialist. And simplicity is not that, Professor, you have been attracted, but Gitesh all around his life was attracted to the humbleness, simplicity, and plain living. And I think he also, the personality who made these two personalities, Gandhiji and Ho Chi Minh. So our distinguished panelists have done justice to the topic today, both the 50th anniversary of the Indo Vietnamese diplomatic relationship, as well as commemorating President Ho Chi Minh on the eve of his birthday, as His Excellency, the Ambassador of Vietnam, Mr. Pham Chau, has mentioned that the beginning of this birth anniversary of Ho Chi Minh is being marked today. And as a Kolkata, as a citizen of India and Bengal, we are happy to note that the Socialist Republic of Vietnam and its embassy in India has chosen Calcutta to begin this celebration of, week-long celebration of birthday of Ho Chi Minh. So we express our gratitude. And outside Vietnam, I think there is no second place than Calcutta to have such celebration. That make us proud. Being
chairing this session means I need not make a long speech, but I have to appreciate the efforts put by the distinguished panelists to do justice to the topic of the day. Keynote address, Tilottama, much younger to me, has given us so many keys, but I'm not going to unlock those treasures. One thing is very clear. She's a scholar. And when we talk about diplomatic relationship between two countries, particularly India with Vietnam, as we don't require any third umpire in this subcontinent, and we don't get the reference of any third countries to have friendship with Vietnam. It's purely on the basis of two civilization and shared anti-colonial, anti-imperialist struggle. And the great leadership like Gandhiji, Nehru is mentioned here, and Uncle Ho. Today it's very pleasant for me to listen to those names which used to be mentioned in such discussions and now being sought to be wiped out from the memory. Gandhi, Lenin, Ho Chi Minh, Nehru in particular. I think no person caste. I'm so proud that the ambassador said I would have come with a Nehru quote. These days we don't mention even Nehru quote. Because of the change of the Prime Minister, we changed the name of the quotes also. Politics apart. So, rightly pointed out, both Kusum and His Excellency the Ambassador, that Indo Vietnamese relationship is people to people, heart to heart communication. And of course, Mr. Goutam, while speaking, he mentioned that. Not going to the statistics, not going to the data, not going to the handouts of the PIBs. He mentioned and rightly quoted Amrita Pillar. Poetries are made out of passion and heart. Speeches are made out of data and informations. But similarity mentioned about Nehru and Ho Chi Minh. Bangla আমরা বলি এটা অদ্ভুত সমাপতন নয়. It's not just coincidence that President Ho Chi Minh is referred as Uncle Ho and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru is mentioned as Chacha Nehru. Both used to love children and both were loved by children. And we represent that generation who were children when we learned about Ho Chi Minh and Nehru. And we are fortunate for that. These days, children don't respect politicians. But those were the days when children used to be motivated and they used to respect the great politicians. But I must mention that there is no question of comparison. How much Ho Chi Minh was influenced by Lenin and how much by Gandhiji. At least when we mention about Gitesh Sharma and we read his book and his studies, it's a syncretic, it's a composite, it's a combination. These days, through this, fiery television discussions, normally we put in political and diplomatic discussions versus China versus India, India versus Pakistan, Muslim versus Hindu, Bengali versus non-Bengalis. This is the fashion now. We can comprehend issues without using this football or cricket match dialogues or verses, but we can have, instead of verses, we can put and. And most of the time it is hyphen. That verses means a competitiveness. And when we put hyphen, it represents bridge, collaborative attitude and approach. So we discuss about Ho Chi Minh and his diplomacy. We did not brand him whether he was a nationalist or not. He was a patriot. He himself in his writings mentioned that. out of sheer love of his country and people first. He was drawn in politics, and because it was under the yoke of colonial rule, so he fought against the colonialism, and studying Lenin's questions of colonialism and nationalism, his thesis on, he could make out that the Marxism or Leninism can be the guiding principle. He was not a Marxist from that. He started with the youth, revolutionary youth of Vietnam. The scholars are here. But later, after visiting Europe, studying Irish revolutionary things, like in our country also, the freedom fighters used to study, debate, discuss. Some people went for non-violent route, some people went for the violent route, but they studied what is going on across the globe. So, as aspirant for freedom, as a struggling leader of independence, he opted for Marxism and Lenin's principle on the question of nationalism. But internationalism was core to his heart. And again, I will not put nationalism versus internationalism. Only a good patriot can become an internationalist. Otherwise, there will be fake nationalist or fake patriot. If you love your country, need not be you have to hate other countries. It's out of love and passion. And that's why when he was fighting against French colonial rulers, like Gandhiji, when Gandhiji also mentioned that he was against British rule, not the Britishers. So Ho Chi Minh was also fighting against the French colonialism, colonial rulers, not the French. He became French member of the founding members of the French Communist Party, and that is internationalism. Otherwise, he would have a hatred of. These days, our next generations are being taught that if you want to love your country, you have to hate some others. And that's the beauty of that generation. And that's why when Nehruji was in British jail, and he was languishing in Chinese jail with Japanese occupation, they exchanged their thoughts. They wrote. So the love for freedom, independence, and love for the people, that brought them together. The love for their own countries. But loving their own countries, both of them became internationalists. And after becoming the president or prime minister of respective countries, they continued with that. That's how the non-alignment movement came. That's how the world became closer. And Ho Chi Minh always used to mention Asia and Africa. That you look beyond, you transcend the geographical boundaries. I'm sorry, I've gone to certain other parts, but I'm so grateful to you, sir, Your Excellency, comrade, that Ho Chi Minh is very dear to not only our generation, our earlier generation, our next generation also. As you rightly pointed out, normally other politicians are being criticized. But why and how? The struggle, our generations came to politics knowing that yes, the mighty US imperialists can be taken care of by the people of Vietnam with so much of resources. That's the leadership, that's the diplomacy, that's the ideology, and the people-centric politics. You could mobilize all sections, not only youths, women, the poorest of the poor. And he is still, we endure, because when he visited as head of the state, but he was quite at home with the most backward section, so-called backward section or poor section, no elitism. So, being a diplomat, if you are with this attire, that's, you don't mind. But that is the beauty of womanhood, women. I appreciate when I visited thrice Vietnam, particularly Hanoi, as youth leader, as the coordinator of Asia Pacific regions of the youth movement, World Federation of Democratic Youth. Thrice I took you to Hanoi. But the women of Vietnam, they still love in their formal dress is their national attire. Here also we found those who have come. But we male folks, because of this so much of diplomatic and formal and other things, we change our attire so frequently. But Bengalis are still, they love their saris, and the Vietnamese, their own traditional outfits, particularly the women. They carry on that tradition. So, not housewife. How's the dress? I was just trying to recall that name. The attire. Please, please.
He's wearing some chappal. And
Attire.
after Ho Chi Minh, that chappal was very popular among the...
My chacha, my uncle used to wear this chappal, and everybody, my mother used to, why you wear this chappal? He said, Ho Chi Minh taught this. Recycling. Now we are talking about sustainable development. Chappal made of recycled tires. Now Vietnam is also going for all Western brand, no problem. It's a development. It's appreciation.
Traditional, isn't it? Yeah, that is the traditional.
That's why I appreciate it. Features. So that recycled chappal made of recycled tire. Now we don't know how to dispose of all these plastics. That's a simplicity. That's a beauty. But these days we have tires made of, best designers of the world. Again, I don't know, no comment to anyone that even chappals are made branded. Okay. So this, I'm grateful to Gitesh ji. He took pain, researched, and put together from Calcutta's publications of those days when solidarity movement was there.
Yes.
Street of Calcutta was buzzed with Tuman Nam Vietnam. Even he could identify how that slogan originated and from where. He told me once. That research work took to the root. Today when Uma Junjunwala, the chairperson is present here, after we got this badge, she said, "Hey, aap log apna naam kyun nahi likh rahe the? Why don't you put your name?" I said, "I'm in Indo Vietnam Solidarity Program. So what the use of, you remember, what the use of putting my name? So one now, our name, Vietnam, Vietnam, only one name is there. And that's why I said, we are in a family. And that is what we communicate heart to heart. There are other things also, I have not spoken of my thing, but at least we try to strengthen our bilateral relation. Government to government, as well as people to people. And this relationship cannot be bypassing Calcutta. Because I'm not dealing with the past, even dealing with future. Even our government of India used to say earlier, look east. Even new Prime Minister told, act east. But those are dialects. How far we are looking east and how far we are looking west. From our universities, from our research centers, from our ICCR things, we can find out. But there is a need.
Yes.
And the vested interest being a Calcuttan is that if you want to look east, you have to look from Calcutta.
Yes.
That is, Calcutta used to be once called the London of the East, and Shanghai used to be mentioned as the Calcutta of the East. Till the beginning of last century. We don't go to this revivalist thing, we can't. But unless we cherish our history and golden tradition and study that, we cannot build a future. Because the root of the future is life. And the challenge, greatest challenge at this present moment is that the history is sought to be wiped out. Like in your mobile you have memory chips, and that memory chips of the civilization is being sought to be deleted. So if we want to preserve and protect our civilizational values and this friendship, we have to cherish that history. And that is why we are grateful to Gitesh Sharma ji, not only for this Indo-Vietnamese Solidarity Committee, but he studied, he imbibed these values, and that's why we are all here. And we must continue to meet, not only on this occasion when ambassador comes, even then, but we have to build future based on the rock solid foundation of this friendship. You mentioned about unshakable, quoting Ho Chi Minh. So it is rock solid. Government may come, government may go, but people of India and people of Vietnam will remain, and the friendship will along with the anti-imperialist solidarity. The friendship, the basis of friendship of India-Vietnam is that struggle, the glorious struggle of Vietnamese people, the sufferings, and this indomitable spirit which can take on the mightiest force. And that give a culture. It's not only a culture of revolution, it's a culture of resistance, not surrendering. And when this spirit comes, it's immaterial to discuss whether it's violence or non-violence. Revolutionary does not mean violent weapons. Ho Chi Minh was a revolutionary. Gandhiji was also revolutionized the policies. Whether you remain a violent or non-violent, that depends on the situation and the force you are fighting with. To quote Ho Chi Minh also, he was always, peace was dear to him. He sought to negotiate even after October 45, September 46. He wrote French authorities, we want peace, peaceful solution, peaceful negotiation. But it's the other way, the colonialists, the imperialists will never allow us to live in peace. Even now you can see it. So if war is thrust upon you, you need not be a pacifist. You have to wage a war to stop that war. And that is what Vietnam has shown. And even those veterans of US soldiers who went and bombed Vietnam, now their next generation, they go and pay tribute to not only their forefathers, but those who were killed, those who have led that struggle, and the people of Vietnam. And that is the spirit. So I think after freedom also, after the removal of victory over the colonial rulers, tremendous progress Vietnam has made. It's national reconciliation, national reconstruction, starting with reunification, and they've struggled for that. And now in the Committee of Nations, Vietnam is our proud member. Even during COVID situation, first wave, they have managed excellently. The social media in Bengal and Calcutta particularly was buzzed with your rice ATM. When we were here establishing some cheap canteen, some free distribution of foods and rations, compelling government of India and government of state government to provide some relief to the those who have lost their jobs. And we have seen, and that sparked that this is how our pro-people administration can serve to its people with rice ATM. So even now, this Delta variant also is being successfully fought, and next door to China. That's too much that we have done. And we need peaceful Asia, peaceful South Asia, peaceful Indian Ocean. And now this Indo-Pacific is being coined, so that showing that India is much larger than the size, but this Indian Ocean or Pacific. We want free from imperialist presence. We can negotiate, we can deal with. We don't want another Ukraine war in the land of Asia. No NATO, no Western power is going to help us. They sometimes, again referring to Ho Chi Minh and Gitesh Sharma's understanding, that sometimes they make fake enemies. And these days the media is so strong and the agencies are so strong, and they create an atmosphere when the people were supposed to be friendly, they make ourselves fight each other. And that's why we have to again read the question of colonialism and nationalities as Ho Chi Minh read, and still Lenin is relevant. When we remember Nehru, we also mentioned that how the name, this Hungerford Street name was renamed, rechristened as Ho Chi Minh Sarani. Harrington Street, Ho Chi Minh, Harrington Street, Ho Chi Minh, and Jyoti Basu once mentioned that this is the sweet revenge we have taken from US against these US forces, that when Calcutta Municipal Corporation, then led by the left, mentioned that change that name. So US Embassy is there. 5 Ho Chi Minh Sarani. So they said, whenever you communicate with your masters in Washington, you have to mention Ho Chi Minh. Without mentioning Ho Chi Minh, those days email were not there, so only postbacks used to be there. So you can't send your reports. That is how. But now something is being sought to be reversed in this state also. In Durgapur, I found that Lenin names will be struck out from this road name in Durgapur, and it will be in some other Lata Mangeshkar name. So don't put Lata Mangeshkar versus Lenin. If we want to rename something, we can create some new roads and new buildings instead of renaming. That's the legacy we have to continue. With these words, thank you, and thank you again for participation and patiently listening to all these rubbish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This presidential address was the heart of this seminar. We laughed, we got emotional, and we got enriched with knowledge. Thank you very much. And now let me brief the total presentation of today's seminar. The seminar, Ms. Kusum Jain presented a welcome address, and in her suggestion, she made 2 valid points. She said about that opening of Ho Chi Minh Chair in any university in Calcutta for the spread of Vietnamese literature and language. And also she talked about the Trade and Cultural Office in Calcutta, and obviously she stressed upon that should be run by any Vietnamese person. In the inaugural address, Honorable Ambassador Mr. Pham Chau expressed his pleasure of seeing the familiar faces of our extended family, and the fact that National Library is a venue that stands for intellectualism is a great point to hold this seminar. He talked that. And he thanked the government for their supporting hand for opening Vietnam Corner in National Library. Mentioning about Ho Chi Minh's 3 times visit to India, he talked about the humble behavior, the humble personality of Uncle Ho. He said that India and Vietnam's relationship is not economic, not like the buyers and sellers. It's about people to people and heart to heart. He said we have an age-old relationship. 2,600 years ago, we had a trade and business and commercial relationship. Buddhism, yoga, Indian diaspora, Indian culture, traditional medicine are the soft powers and other similarities that have brought us together. To tell the next point of our closeness, it said it is closeness between Ho Chi Minh with Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru that has laid the foundation of our relationship. Next, presenting the keynote address, Dr. Tilottama Mukherjee gave a broad overview of India's relation with Vietnam during the Cold War years and the excellent relations and fraternal ties said by Prime Minister Nehru and President Ho Chi Minh. She also discussed India's support for the cause of Vietnam and its reunification and reconstruction during Mrs. Indira Gandhi's tenure. She discussed in detail the most important recent developments from 2016 to 2021 between India and Vietnam in the political, strategic, economic, people-to-people contacts, and ends by pining the hope on these 2 countries for bringing a prosperous Indo-Pacific in the coming decades. Next, Professor Tridib Chakraborti in his address mentioned Ho Chi Minh as the greatest revolutionary figure of the century. He was next to Lenin, a conscious environmentalist. To talk about India-Vietnam relationship, he said that we supported each other during the period of our struggle for independence. For Ho Chi Minh, Gandhi was his political guru. In the sad demise of Gandhi, Uncle Ho said it's not a national disaster, but an international loss. He mentioned about the cordial relationship between the common people of our two countries. Referring M.N. Roy's book, The Men I Met, he said the praising words written by the writer about Uncle Ho in that book. Vietnam's movement was a nationalist movement under the leadership of a communist. He was half Lenin and half Gandhi. India played a very important role for the national reconstruction of Vietnam. Next, to talk about the address of Mr. Goutam Day. In his speech, he, remembering the president of our Indo Vietnam Solidarity Committee, Mr. Gitesh Sharma, he said that during this hour of Thames, we should follow the ideas and ideals of Ho Chi Minh the most. Lenin was a revolutionary leader. Gandhi adopted non-violence, but Uncle Ho followed some qualities of both the leaders. So Ho Chi Minh is very much relevant today. He concluded his address with reciting the poem by Amrita Pritam on Uncle Ho. He also mentioned about one scholarship for Indian students to study Uncle Ho's ideas or about Vietnamese literature in Vietnam. Next, to talk about the address of Mr. Amitabh Chakraborti. In his address, he said Uncle Ho as a saint
of a cook. He was disguised as a cook. Yes, in a Kannada court. That was one point. Yes.
The family in Saigon. Like Pathan.
Yes.
The family where Ho Chi Minh to come out of Saigon.
That Gupta family, that mention is there in the documentary also. Yes. Another point I want to make, not point, I may like to add only one quotation from Gitesh Sharmaji's book that sums up this seminar this morning. The book is Ho Chi Minh and India by Gitesh Sharma. I like to read few lines. In comparison to great men of the modern times, the ideas and policies of Ho Chi Minh are far more perceptible in the interests of the people. Of course, these should not be blindly emulated. Goutam had raised a point whether we should emulate Ho Chi Minh's ideas and policies in our daily life or our politics. So here the answer is, of course, these should not be blindly emulated and should be implemented only after a careful study. One may learn a lot from Ho Chi Minh's experience to accomplish the goal of independence, progress and peace. Now, I have been asked to propose a vote of thanks, a very pleasant duty that I have been bestowed with. First of all, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude and thanks to the chairman of this morning's function, Md.Salim. You all might be knowing that there is a very big function of the democratic DFY is currently in session, and despite his busyness, he managed to accommodate our program, and he is present here. We have no words to thank you, sir. I'm also thankful to His Excellency Mr. Pham son Chau, who has come all the way from Delhi to address us this morning. I'm also thankful to Dr. Do Than Hai, Deputy Chief of the Mission, and his and his colleagues from the embassy. I'm also thankful to Mr. Hoang Tung, Consul General of Vietnam in Bombay, for kindly making it convenient to be present here. It's a great honor to us that you have come all the way from Bombay. My thanks are also due to Dr. Tilottama Mukherjee for her well-researched paper. It really was a key paper, Keynote Address, and Salim Saab very rightly said that he had no key to unlock the key address. My thanks are also due to Professor Tridib Chakraborti. I would also like to thank Goutam, who has always stood by us whenever we have asked him. He is always the second man to us after Videsh. He has always supported us and extended his hearty, what you can call, we may say it, cooperation. It's wonderful, and we are very thankful to you, sir, for being on the receiving end. My thanks are also due to Mr. Amitabh Chakraborti, Arvind Kohli, Bimal Sharma, Ashok Verma, Aarti Singh, Mahila Kavya Manch, Sahityaki, Ravel Pushp for their indispensable, Raj Micholia for their indispensable support and cooperation in making all the arrangements this morning. I am thankful to Mr. Anshuman of the National Library and other staff members of the library for their kind help. I would be failing in my duty if I don't thank the media for their support. And lastly but not the least, I must thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for making yourself available this morning at this venue and being a part of this seminar. You have sincerely made this seminar a grand success, and I thank you once again, all of you. Sorry, I forgot to mention the name of one of the most deserving person who I would name Dr. Prabhamai Samantrai. She is the most committed and dedicated member of our society. She is one of the Secretary Generals, and she was the anchor of this morning's function. My thanks are also due to her. And once again, I thank you all.
And she come all the way from Odisha. Yesterday, tomorrow she will leave for this.
And from the chair, I thank you. And true to her name, she remained Prabhamai during the whole period.
Lastly, friends, you are all requested to have your dinner, your lunch here. Your packed lunch is there. Please do take it.
और वो पैक लंच में किसी को भी बोलने में दिक्कत सी है ना तो आप कैसे